Hello everybody, my name is Sankara and welcome back to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Structure Deck series of Shaddoll Showdown. Blah blah blah, you get the idea. So in this episode we're going to be looking over the Shaddoll Showdown structure deck using 3 of the decks and basically do deck profiles. So I've made 3 different decks with 3 different strategies that you can exploit with the Shaddoll Showdown structure deck. Well, with 3 of them at least. And I'm going to break that down. So first of all, if you haven't already, click on this playlist coming above me and go watch that, because in the previous episode I explained how to run the first deck that I'm going to show you. So I won't be going too in depth into that deck in this episode because I explain it much better, along with Shaddolls as a whole in the previous video. So be sure to go watch that first. But in this episode I'll be showing you that deck, doing a deck profile of that, as well as 2 others that I've made. So first of all, starting with the original Shaddoll deck that I covered in the earlier episode, this deck is basically, it's based just on fusion summoning all your Shaddoll fusions, or as much as you can, and then just attacking, winning with those, control with Winder and Construct, etc, etc. So we've basically got, we got 1 Shaddoll Beast, allows us to draw cards. I wanted to include him because drawing cards is always good, but don't want too much because he's a level 5. Shaddoll Dragon, we got 2 Shaddoll Dragons. I might in fact swap out, I never really used Squamata with this deck, so actually I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to swap out Squamata for another dragon. Reason being, because I always use dragon. I always use dragon because when he is sent to the graveyard, you can destroy a spell or trap on the field, which is always very useful if your opponent has a back row. You're about to go for game, you're about to do your fusion summons, dump him into the graveyard, clear the back row, no problem. Don't forget you can only use 1 per turn though, hard ones per turn. Shaddoll Squamata, may as well. This deck only basically uses the old Shaddoll cards plus Windy. So we got 1 Shaddoll Squamata, 2 Perform Mage Trick Clowns. Trick Clown is great because when he's sent to the graveyard, you can special summon him and then immediately go into Shaddoll Construct, assuming you have a fusion card. So that's fantastic. He's our only light monster, so he's our only way of getting to Construct, except with Construct herself, of course, and with the equip spell. Next we have 1 Shaddoll Hound. He's alright, he's not too bad. He returns Shaddoll cards. Now that's when he's flipped, he can return any Shaddoll card, including your fusion, so that's the best thing about Shaddoll Hound. But otherwise, his send to the graveyard is not as good. It flips, or it changes the battle position of a card on the field, which can work. It comes in handy sometimes, but not that often. Not as much as his flip effect would. Next we have 1 Armageddon Knight. Oh, and I'll turn on the ban list so you can see why I only have 1 Armageddon Knight, because he's limited, unfortunately. So we just have 1 Armageddon Knight. We have 3 Re-Shaddoll Windy. Windy's great. When she's flipped or sent to the graveyard, you get to special summon a Shaddoll straight from your deck, which is always fantastic. Next we have the Mathematician, again to just send monsters to your graveyard. Just 1 Mathematician, didn't have room for more. 2 Shaddoll Hedgehogs, also great, add Shaddolls to your hand. Next we have 2 Shaddoll Falcos as our last monster. Falco can be quite useful for getting off your fusion summons. When he's sent to the graveyard, you special summon him, which is always fantastic if you're going into a fusion monster and you need an extra, send Falco. Okay, next you have 3 Allure of Darkness, draw 2 cards, always good. You have plenty of darks to banish, it's not really a problem. Instant Fusion can only really summon Winder. Of course her effects are negated, but it's good to get off a fusion summon. So you Instant Fusion into Winder, and then Shaddoll Fusion or whatever into something else. Perhaps Winder. Whatever you prefer. 3 Shaddoll Fusions, arguably the strongest card in the deck, can fusion summon normally and can also use monsters from your deck if your opponent has a fusion monster, which they probably do if you're going second at least. Pot of Avarice, good card, you get plenty in the graveyard, why not? Foolish Burial, of course, gotta send Shaddolls to the graveyard. Shaddoll Fusion is just like Fusion for Polymerization for Shaddolls, but it's a quick play, which definitely comes in handy. You can use it during the battle phase or your opponent's turn to interrupt plays. But that's awesome, especially if you're going for OTKs. You fusion summon 1 thing, then summon, you got your normal summon, and then attack, Shaddoll Fusion, attack again, it's great. 2 Twin Twisters, back row removal, always fantastic. 3 Super Fusion, Super Polymerization, I should say. Steals your opponent's monsters, always good. This is our only way of summoning some of the fusion monsters, well, except of course for Nephi Shaddoll Fusion, which we'll get to next. But it's a good way to summon your Shaddolls. You've got Shaddolls for every attribute, so you can steal pretty much anything. Super Poly, always fantastic. 2 Nephi Shaddoll Fusions. This one's not as good as the other 2 fusions, I would say, simply because that's quick play, that uses from your deck, so that's why we only have 2, but it can also change the attribute of your Shaddoll monster to allow you to get out Construct generally. May go for Shikanage, probably won't go for anything else, but you never know. Never know, it's very situational with this deck. Next we have one Shaddoll Incarnation. I was debating putting this in at all, but it can come in handy. It brings your Shaddolls back from the graveyard and face down defense, which is mainly what I use it for. It can also flip things face up, face down. I mean, I don't think I've ever actually used that effect, but hey, it's helpful. So we got one Shaddoll Incarnation, and then 3 Lost Wind, because when testing it, this card's amazing. This card's freaking awesome. So negates effects of special summoned monsters. Lost Wind, 3 of them. Why? It's a great card. I love it. I don't see it often, but it's fantastic. I don't know why it's not used very much. I love it. And it's permanent negation as well, not even just till the end phase, just done. I don't know, I love it. Okay, for our extra deck, we got 2 Shikanage. This will be the extra deck for each of these decks, if I'm not mistaken. I will correct myself on that later, but this is the basic extra deck for what I think is the best extra deck if you're running if just 3 Shaddoll Showdowns. So we got 2 Shikanage. Shikanage is pretty good, not bad. It's 3rd best of the fusions. Then we got Anoyatulus. Not the best, requires a water monster, so you'll only be using it with Neffy or your opponent's monster. That's mainly why it's in there for the super poly. Neither player can special summon monsters from the hand or graveyard, which isn't too bad, but you got Winder's better. Construct, fantastic. One of the best along with Winder. We have 3 constructs, of course. 1 Grista, again, just using your opponent's fire monster generally is why that's in there, to just steal monsters, and can negate a special summon, which isn't too bad, but it costs a Shadow card, so it's like, yeah, alright. 2 Apocalone, 2 Apocalone is just not the worst, and is easier to summon because it just needs 2 Shaddolls with different attributes, so, you know, it's an option. I basically never have really gotten off its effects just because of board timing. There's nothing on the field to negate its effects when I special summon it, which is really awkward, but that's what it does, which isn't too bad. Wendigo, I've used before, and I honestly gotta say, she's not really that good. It don't really do much. It could come in handy, but wind monster, you can summon her though. And then 3 Winder, the other best card along with L Shaddoll Construct is L Shaddoll Winder. She's great and stops special summoning more than once per turn for both players, keep in mind, but generally more your opponent that's detrimented by that. And then we have 2 Shaddoll Constructs, which allow extra fusion. She's not the best, but she works, may as well have her in there. Alright, so that's the initial Shaddoll Showdown deck, which I deconstructed more in the previous episode. Okay, so next let's move on to my second deck, Shaddoll Super Soldier. This is a Blackluster Soldier Shaddoll deck, which you can make using 3 of the Shaddoll Showdown structure decks. So of course we have 3 Blackluster Soldiers. If you don't have him in your hand, it's not that much of a threat, you can always fusion summon, but this is basically what we're going for, is summoning him, which is why we have 2 Shaddoll Beasts instead of 1 to allow us to draw more cards to hopefully get Blackluster Soldier. We have 2 Shaddoll Dragons, destroy the back row. 1 Shaddoll Squamator, this is our main combo in the deck. You send him to the graveyard, then with his effect, you send Quad Shaddoll Chaos. Now, so this is our main combo. We use our Mathematician or Foolish Burial, Armageddon Knight to send Squamator to the graveyard, and then with Squamator's effect you can immediately send Chaos straight to the graveyard, and then you have a Light and a Dark and can go straight into Blackluster Soldier. That's the whole purpose of this, but I only included 1 of each because you don't really need more than that. You only really need 1 Blackluster Soldier, and you have your Performage Trick Clown and Electromagnetic Turtle as well to send to the graveyard for BLS. But that's the main combo of this deck. So you send those 2, get Blackluster Soldier, then you still have your Armageddon Knight Mathematician, tack twice with BLS, tack with the other one. If you have another normal summon, go for that. If you have, your quick play L Shaddoll Fusion, then you drop that, summon Construct, and then attack again, and that's generally game. That's basically how this deck works. It's just, it's a bit of an OTK, and it's actually pretty awesome. It's semi-consistent, because you gotta get BLS in your hand, which is why we have quite a few draw cards, but I would like more, to be honest. It's That's about, I would say about 60-70%. Pretty good. Not as good as the last deck, but pretty damn awesome. It revolves around the OTK though, so you gotta get that Blackluster Soldier generally. Alright, so we got, after Shadow, once Shaddoll Squamato, we got 2 Perform Age Trick Clowns. Great light monster. He special summons himself as well, allowing you to go into Construct, and of course when he's in the graveyard you summon BLS. 1 Armageddon Knight. Wish we could have more. Electromagnetic Turtle. Why not? He's a light monster, got a good effect in the graveyard. We got 2 Wendy's. Only have 2 mainly because we're not really going to be summoning our Shaddolls with this deck, but it can definitely come in handy to have more cards on your field. She also thins out the deck so you can get your BLS as well, which is fantastic. But only 2 because we don't really summon our Shaddolls in this version of the deck. 3 Mathematicians. You got to get as much of that graveyard dumping potential as possible to get our BLS. That was the main thought that I was thinking, is how do we get as many things, as many of them in our graveyard as possible, you know, quickly, so that we can summon Blackluster Soldier. Which is why we also have 3 Curry Bandits. Curry Bandit doesn't discriminate. He just sends everything, your dark monsters, your light monsters, Shadow, not Shadow, 4 cards, excluding a spell, and going straight to the graveyard. Fantastic. Why wouldn't Curry Bandit needs to be meta again? I wish he was. He's fantastic. 2 Hedgehogs, again, thins out the deck. Don't really use your Shadows, but he thins out the deck to get BLS. And of course, Chaos for the Squamato combo. Don't really use his send to the graveyard effect, or any of his effects. Just there so Squamato can send him to the graveyard for that 1 card combo. BLS. So really all you need is a Foolish, Mathematician, or Armageddon Knight plus Blackluster Soldier. 2 card combo, immediately Blackluster Soldier. You know, you summon one of them, or Foolish, send Squamato, Squamato sends Chaos, and then summon Blackluster Soldier. It's really simple, and it's fantastic. It works quite well, and then you get the OTK pretty easily, or at least a 2-turn kill, because Blackluster Soldier is it's a fantastic card. Everyone knows Blackluster Soldier is awesome. So we have 3 Allure of Darkness, again, gotta have that draw power for BLS. 3 Shadow Fusions, because with Shadows, this is mainly if your opponent has an extra deck monster on the field, you drop this, and then you can send, you can send your light monster, your dark monster, and then summon Construct, and then immediately go into Blackluster Soldier. So it allows more deck dumping. Also, if you have cards in your hand to fuse with, it's good. I wouldn't swap a BLS for a Construct generally, but it depends on the situation. So yeah, if you have the other option, your Fusion, and then your BLS, and then you have something else maybe, and then you attack, OTK, etc, etc. Pot of Avarice, another draw card. Foolish Burial, again, don't need to explain. Shaddoll Fusion, again, fantastic. Probably better than Shaddoll Fusion in this deck, because it helps with the OTK. You summon your BLS, you have something else, you attack twice with Blackluster Soldier, attack with something else, Shaddoll Fusion, go into Construct, attack again, that's generally probably gonna be game. 2 Twin Twisters, gotta get rid of the back row. Triple Lost Wind again, I just really like this card. And a Necro Fusion, which can also come in handy just as much as Shaddoll Fusion. Because we're sending so many things to the graveyard, that's the whole point of this version of the deck, so I included Necro Fusion for that. Same extra deck structure as the last deck, because I just think that's the best one when you're going with 3 of this deck only. Alright, so that is the Shaddoll Super Soldier deck. I think it was pretty good. Again, there was a replay. If you haven't already put it up, do it, but you should have done it earlier, Ariana. Grr. I don't know why I'm pointing to her up there. She's not there, she's there. You. Okay, so anyway, moving on. Next we have the Shaddoll sort of power control is what I went for this. These are just using your big monsters as well as your kind of control cards to get the OTK or control your opponent. I do have a replay of this, so let's get... What? Okay. My whole idea of this deck was to use these big, strong, these power cards as well as the control cards. So let's get that replay going. So, I believe in the replay, so you have your options. You can summon your Blackluster Soldier, you can summon your Dark Armed Dragon, and then you also go into your fusion summons, it's just like the Super Soldier deck, except it runs slightly differently and is more based on control. But in the replay that's showing, I believe I got basically an OTK. Second turn, done. This deck, it works. Somehow it works. It's, again, relatively consistent, 70 to 80% consistent. It's pretty good. Probably better than the BLS deck, kind of, because you have more options than just Blackluster Soldier. So yeah, I think this one's pretty good as well. I would still say that the original Shadow Fusion deck that I made is the better option, is the best option out of these, but this works too. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. So let's get right into it. Okay, so we got the Lava Golem. We start off with the Lava Golem. Again, it's based a bit on control. You can drop Lava Golem onto your opponent's field, get rid of 2 of their monsters just like that, and then the idea is that you Super Fusion him into Grista, and just it clears your opponent's field. Just like that, super easy, no destroy, no target, just tribute. I don't know why I put in 2 Gristas. I put in 2 Gristas for this reason. But then I decided to only have 1 Lava Golem, so I'm gonna swap out a Grista for a Construct again. So basically the extra deck is just the same as last time now. Same extra deck along all 3 of the decks. So yeah, you summon him, you get rid of 2 of your opponent's monsters, then you Super Fusion into Grista, or you leave him on the field, do 1,000 damage each turn. Generally not advised since he has 3,000 attack, but hey, it works. If you can get rid of him as well, that works too, because Construct can also get rid of him just by attacking him. Gone. 2 Blackluster Soldier. Again, Blackluster Soldier, fantastic. It works just like the last deck. You can use Squamator and Chaos to get Blackluster Soldier. You got plenty of strategies. In this deck, we only have the Squamator Chaos option, unless you get a Blackluster Soldier in the graveyard. That is your only option for summoning BLS with this deck, but that is pretty consistent. I mean, yeah, it's a 1-card combo, right? Foolish or Mathematician or Armageddon Knight into Squamator, then into Chaos, then Blackluster Soldier. It's pretty quick. It's easy. Yeah, we don't really need more light monsters to make this work. But we do need dark monsters to make Dark Armed Dragon work. The thing about Dark Armed Dragon that I don't really like is that he needs exactly 3. You can't have more than 3, can't have less than 3. Exactly 3 dark monsters in the graveyard. Fortunately with this deck, we don't really have that many, and it's a little harder to pull off, but still relatively pretty easy to pull off your Dark Armed Dragon. Just takes, you get Armageddon Knight, send Squamator, who sends another, then if you're lucky you have Foolish Burial, send another, or Shaddoll Fusion, Shaddoll Fusion, I don't know, something to get another one in the graveyard, then go to Dark Armed Dragon, or you just wait for Armageddon Knight to be destroyed, then Dark Armed Dragon. This he's pretty strong. Banish a Dark in your graveyard, destroy a card on the field. It's pretty good, 2800 attack. So we got 2 of him. 1 Shadow Beast, gotta get that draw power. 3 Shadow Dragons, again, getting rid of the back row. 1 Squamator for the Squamator Chaos combo for Blackluster Soldier. 1 Shadow Hound. I put him in this version of the deck because he can change your opponent's monsters to attack position. Again, I was focusing more on the power cards, so you put them into attack to deal more damage. 1 Armageddon Knight, gotta have the dumping. 2 Nail Shadow Aerials. I wanted to make a deck running the new Shadow cards, but they're just not good. But Ariel, I discredited her in my earlier videos, and I apologize for that. But she can banish up to 3 cards in either graveyard, including your opponent's one. So I put her in for that control aspect to banish your opponent's cards from the graveyard, which is always pretty good. It's, not bad. I wouldn't put her in the other versions of the deck, is it's like, I don't really use that much, but this is the control version, so it does definitely work to have Ariel in the deck. 3 Reshadow Wendy's. Again, this is a power control. I put 3 of her in to summon more, so you can keep going on with the power. She can always summon Beast, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, she can summon Beast, 2200 attack. It's pretty good, 2 Mathematicians. Only 2. Sending things to the graveyard isn't as prominent in this deck as it was in last deck, surprisingly. But yeah, it's not quite as important, and we already have enough, I found, to pull off these strategies. 2 Hedgehogs, 1 Chaos, and 1 Falco. Special summons himself again, gotta get more cards on the field, you can go into fusions and stuff. As a monster lineup, pretty standard. Again, it's based on BLS, Dark Armed, Lava Golem if you can, and your fusion monsters. So next we have 3 Allure of Darkness, gotta get your BLS, your Dark Armed, your fusions. Pretty standard. 3 Shadow Fusions, again, fantastic, best fusion card. Foolish Burial, 3 Shadow Fusions, 3 Super Polymerizations. You can steal your opponent's monsters, including their Lava Golem, get rid of 2 monsters at once, no problem. Reshadow Incarnation, why not? And triple Lost Wind again, I really like Lost Wind. So the strategy that I managed to pull off with this deck, as you saw in the replay, was to get BLS, summon something else, attack twice BLS, attack with Mathematician, and then immediately Shadow Fusion, quick play spell, straight into Construct, attack again. It's just game. It's game. It's so easy. It's so good. I don't know, I think they're all pretty good, but I think the original Shaddoll Showdown, the fusion version, is the most consistent, though. I think that's the most consistent. The other two are surprisingly good, much better than I thought they would be, but I think this version is the most consistent and probably the best use of the deck. But by all means, you know, if you enjoyed this video, if you made any of these decks yourself, let me know which one was your favorite. Let me know if you improved upon them at all. Message me, tell me down in the comments, leave a like, share if you could. Share on your favorite social media platform, Reddit, Instagram, Facebook, share it with your friends, Messenger, I don't know, but that would really help me out a lot. Thank you so much. And if you watched this all the way through, you may as well subscribe. I'll be doing plenty more content just like this with new structure decks in the future, as well as other Yu-Gi-Oh content, and we still got more Shaddoll Showdown stuff coming out. So if you like to play Shaddolls, you want the Shaddoll Showdown content, then be sure to subscribe for more of that, for extra stuff, and check out my other videos on the Shaddoll Showdown deck. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. My name has been Sankara, and until next time, see ya.